right. Hello, and welcome to our November Phase 1 call. Hit this jig. And today's call is going to be focused around why I hope for you that you can cultivate a personal practice. So this is a little bit about why I'm not. Hope that works. Why I'm not, developing a method and saying everybody should breathe exactly like this. And this is how we'll breathe is when this is how you'll breathe when you breathe well, or this is how you'll meditate when you're meditating well. But rather, why I keep as much as possible everything that I do really personalized to the individual, and why that's so important. And then why also you too sort of might think about taking up this approach of, rather than sort of hoping to stumble upon the right blog post that's going to tell you exactly how to schedule your morning routine to have a thriving life, rather take a participatory approach and an exploratory approach and try a bunch of things in a really open and wholehearted way that is providing you with more information than critical thinking ever could, than ever doubting or being skeptical ever could, right? Those things are kind of easy in a way, and rather much harder and much more full of information is to do and participate and to form your own experiential knowledge with something, so that it becomes you and it becomes something that's very personal to you. So the invitation today is to open up to your sense of touch and being touched. So the perfect time and the fastest route to starting a practice is now. And so feeling your sense of touch consciously as you're listening to the rest of my little talk today, please keep your attention also on yourself and your sense of touch. So that can be, in my case, the blaring sun on my face and on my computer that's working very hard with its fan. So hopefully that goes okay. And also welcoming the touch of breath or sensation from the inside. So feeling your breath come in and down now. So the invitation right now is into one of a open stillness. So as best you can, take an upright posture as you listen. And in addition to mercilessly scrutinizing everything I say for whether it's true or not from your brain, also feel the information from your body as to what you feel from the inside, and how it feels for not only your breath just now to be coming in and down to touch you, but also my words and what I say and their meaning and what the meaning feels like to you in your body. So this open experiencing of what it is I might say next. So in the breathwork and meditation challenge, I'd like to say first, if you make it no further than this, only phase 1 is all you do, and you really take to the practice that is in phase 1, which is a exhale that's twice as long as the inhale. And this is a practice that's focusing on calming the nervous system and hopefully getting you familiar with what some folks call homeostasis, or a state of calm, relaxed presence where your body is not in a state of anxiety or depression, but rather comfortable and in relationship. So if you find no space for these calls, no space for these lectures, no space for phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, any of that, and you just really take to and even download in the private podcast that's available to you the phase 1 practice, and you really do it, and you really do it each day without worrying too much what you're missing. Just really committing to that one thing, because it's a realistic, doable thing for you to start with, right? The practice is just about 10 minutes. If you start with that and you really do it and you take to it. So if I never get your attention again, right? Like if the emails don't go through, or if I end up in your promotions folder for the rest of my life and your life, and you never see it, then, and you really take to and get established in a regular daily practice of conscious deep breathing in the way that I instruct you in that practice, and even the way that I talk up and build up in the phase 1 lecture and help you understand all of the benefits of it with your thinking brain, so that you can commit to the practice. So even if you just do those 1 or maybe 2 things and you really do it, and you feel and experience for yourself what happens, what I've found happens with my clients is that as soon as we can get a foothold in the door, or a stick in the spokes of the wheel that's turning, which may or may not feel or be acknowledged as total chaos, right? As if you can get one thing and anchor in regular practice, you can start to, 1, feel differently and experience your breath differently, and 2, start to recognize or have moments of presence where you start to realize what's taking your breath away, realize what's taking your time and your energy away from your ability to have 10 minutes to breathe by yourself, right? That's all. What is preventing that from happening? What you'll find is, first, a lot of fingers that point outward, all of these things. But what you'll stop and find when you feel yourself again is all those pink fingers that are pointing back, and all of the ways that you can take more responsibility in what we talk about in the challenge as yama-ing your life, right? Creating boundaries and some structure that connects you to your values and helps you develop this personal practice, this place where you're making some choices about how it is that you want to live, and getting firmly established in that, and in a way moving from that. So in my little heading that tries to get you to watch or come to the call, I said, come to rest at your center. And so right as you listen to me talk, do it now. Where is your center? That's a fun question. Can you feel it? Instead of me telling you exactly where it is, and exactly where to rest your attention, and exactly where the proper center is for you to be a good practitioner, can you bring your sense of touch sensitively towards your body and find where the center, or where your I amness arises from, where yourself is? And really, this practice that we're getting established in is utilizing practices of breath work and meditation to become established in the self. So if you haven't watched the call replays from the previous months, I go into more detail about sort of the inspiration behind the challenge, and the organization behind the challenge, and why it's set up in this way, and how to get the most out of the content that you have. Not because you championed your way through it and then you were a good student and you did every video thrice and took thorough notes, but because you found a practice that you could do, and you did it, and you kept doing it. And even if you didn't come to the calls when I sent the emails, or even if you didn't watch the rest of the videos, as every time you got some sort of prompt or reminder from me, you said, let me remember at least to breathe and practice now, and bring your breath in and down in that particular moment. So when I do that now, if I'm being honest, my womb aches a little bit, right? I have intentionally not checked and watched the news this morning, because I'm doing something else, right? I'm getting ready for my call. so that I can bring it and not feel all kinds of ways about all of what's happening in our world, and not be on that roller coaster, but rather here at my center, so I can communicate maybe something relevant and of meaning to all of you. And so that thing that I'm hoping to communicate is that you can get off the roller coaster by becoming established in practice, in personal practice, the type of personal practice that connects you to who you are at your deepest level. And you can find a greater sense of freedom and connection by opening to your experience now. And that's really the core of the practice. You will find and become established in the self when you get out of ideas of who you should be and you start feeling and moving from who and what you are, what you can tangibly sense and feel. And by connecting to your sense of touch, that's one way that you can bring yourself back to the present. And so the more you practice being conscious of the touch of the breath and how the breath feels in your body, the more that you will become established in a breath that's smooth and even and without jerk and pause, and doesn't have particular patterns that we've shaped to because of what we could call maybe our traumatic imprint or the experiences that we've had in our lives, shaping us to protect. And it's okay to protect. It's not wrong to protect, but we want to provide ourselves with the resources and the sort of sustenance or the vital energy that we need to move out of that phase of survival and where we're just only protecting and getting by, but rather where we're creating and participating in, and we have nothing to protect and nothing to fear because we've faced what we were protecting and what we were afraid of already. And it usually has something to do with what's happened in the past and the story that we have attached to that. And once we face that story and own that story and give it voice in a way, then we're free to do something new, to create and participate in a different way. And so I help hopefully stick the spoke in the wheel so that you can stop breathing in a shallow bullshit way and start breathing in a deep and full way, and see what happens from that, and become established in that as a guiding force in your life, so that when something makes it so you can't breathe, that sends a signal to wake you up and allow you to make conscious change in your life through choice, not through compulsion. So in these noon calls, we don't have a whole lot of time, but something that I think about all morning, that before, as I'm preparing, while I'm also a little bit nervous every time, believe it or not, because who am I to be speaking on God and what your purpose is in life and all of these things. I have those thoughts every single time, and there is as of yet, as I experience it, no way for me to control it or stop it, or fix it from here, right? It just gives me more wrinkles. Instead, I soften into my body and I let my body do something with that feeling of not enoughness or insufficientness, or some call it imposter syndrome, right? So all of those things that we have to go through to connect to what our unique self is and what our unique gifts to offer are, all of those things that we have to go through don't happen through control. They happen through dropping below the level of thought and into the level of feeling of the body. And so now I know that tends to happen, and I can take the proper course of action in the morning to to remind myself that I'm sharing about my practice. I'm sharing about what I do and what I know and how I live and what's helped me. And so, that's who I am to do this. And so that can be something that I can move into, that I can find a sense of um, my action being aligned with who I feel like I am at my best, a connection to my highest self and who I like to imagine what I could be and what feels right and in alignment with my way of thinking and being. So right now I'm sitting on the porch of my tiny house and I'm teaching about yoga and breath work and meditation. And this doing this was a vision I had of myself once in my inner world, a dream, or knowing that this would be how I would feel, the most like myself, like I was most in alignment with what I could do. And I only really had that vision or that idea or that knowing like one time. I just had the feeling, and then I had to go off that, off that little bit of knowing, really only seeing this far in front of me what was the next step to take. And that is sort of embedded in the process of building something like this out of reclaimed material. And you have to wait until it shows up, and you have to know that I'm going to build a house. You have to tell people, and you have to make time for it, and you have to search for things and gather things at real sketchy ass places, places where everything's left behind to rot because it's useless. And you have to say, no, there's value here. There's value here where I am, and there's something here for me because my eyes are open, ready to see it. I'm open to finding the perfect window, the perfect ladder, all of the pieces that will be necessary for this to come together. I don't know where they're at, but I'm open to recognizing them when I see them, and I know exactly where they'll go. And so this way of not deciding beforehand and trying to work everything out with your head, but actually walking in faith and taking the next doable step is what yoga teaches in what's known as Vinyasa Krama. I'll say that again without scratching my nose. Vinyasa Krama. So it is step-by-step action that increases in intensity over time once there has been mastery and establishment at the level before. So it's a really sort of like, of course, that'd be how you it in our mind, and we feel it in its wholeness, and we know it in its wholeness, and it can stay there, and it can become no thing. Or you can start to say, I had this vision of wholeness, and I'm going to start taking steps in my life as if it is real, as if it's going to happen. And this way of being is a co-creation with something that's you and also something that's higher than you. And when those things meet, as I said in my little teaser, it meets at this place where discipline and structure meet devotion and surrender. So saying, I'm going to do this. This is my aim. This is the direction that I'm going. So I invite you again now to bring your attention in. Simply feel the way breath is moving through your torso just now. And when we're training our breath and when we're doing pranayama, or what we're calling breath work, we're training, we're making a focused period of time to like a workout is, but where it shows up is just like sort of like doing your exercises regularly shows up. It's that you feel better in your daily life. You're able to stand tall, or you're able to reach the top shelf, or do all the things that you need to do in your physical body as a result of it. And the same is true for your pranayama in your meditation. You're not doing it to get good at pranayamaing and meditating necessarily. You're doing it to get good at your life and to get good at being yourself and to get good at staying relaxed and present in the moment and being at least curious about what it might be like to live without judgment, to live without pre-deciding how things should be, and to also live without gripping onto and identifying with everything that's already happened, and start to identify with something that's more like what you actually are. Identify with something that is more like your soul, and feel and move towards and aim towards recovering a relationship with that part of yourself. And so in the breathwork and meditation challenge, you're doing and committing to breathing in a very particular way as I'm guiding you through that process, because that's a tangible thing that you can take action on that will make physiologically a difference in your life, where you can take all the factors of your life and say, for this little bit of time, I invite stillness and only stillness, so that I can see the million directions that my mind and my attention were going, and start to have this idea that we talk about further and throughout the program of corralling your mind and attention to a certain area, and starting to have a sense of spatial awareness about where you are in your environment and taking action from there. So in that way, it feels more real. It feels more like what we all feel when someone speaks honestly. Real about that than sort of that we have about what it might be like. And so we come into our real environment and start taking real action, and then we start seeing what happens that's outside of what we intended. And so simply by taking phase 1, practice 1, and committing to do it and seeing what happens. And, maybe when you get the feeling like just replying to one of my emails or jumping on the call or stopping in to one of the check-in times that I send out, whatever it is that is going to be that next step, that next anchor that's going to ground you in a sense of being able to remember again that you want to be moving from this place deep within, that what you intend is to recover yourself and to have a connection to a sense of I amness, that I am this, and there is no enoughness required about that it already is its fullness now, and it's also whole as it's becoming. And that is a little bit more like the qualities of our soul rather than the qualities of, say, like our insane mind or a shitty personality. you know so taking on an identification that has a solid place, a solid felt connection. So when you do it again now, you bring your attention to your body and you soften and you come to the, sort of in a simple way, we could just think of it as whatever is your most dignified posture. And on your exhales, start to bring some attention to that extending of the exhale. Inhale comes in and down for a felt awareness from the body, and exhale is extended and long and even squeezing a bit towards the center. Feel where you squeeze towards. And then as you inhale, feel the breath start and expand from that point. And keep breathing in this way, inhaling, filling, expanding at wherever the contraction happened. And then inhaling and exhaling from this place where you're either contracting or as you're inhaling, expanding from. So we're sort of exaggerating and lengthening. So in this one practice, rather than thinking anything about it from your head, open to the experience of it. I love my job because I can say a whole lot of stuff, right? And then I can say, enter, soften in equal measure as you inhale and fill. So I talk about different ideas of discipline and devotion. And for me, the discipline has become remaining centered in what I want, in there being a trueness to that. I have a self. I am a self. Self feels and knows and experiences is the only frame of reference that I have for realness. And I can think about from my head if something's real or not, but I can only know it through experience. And so that means I have to prioritize my life in a certain way. If that's my aim, to remember that, and that guides the other actions, it allows for a lot of bullshit to drop away out of your life. Inhale again, in and down, and feel your torso expand. And as you exhale, squeeze towards your center, but let that squeeze be soft. So now bring the softness into that movement towards your center, that effort to extend your exhale. And if your aim is to move from your center and from your sense of self, then the breath being your guide is how you yama your prana. So that's how you decide how your energy moves in your life, by seeing and recognizing what steals and sucks and drains your life force and what fills you up. And so by keeping the breath soft and open and noticing what causes you to grip and clamp around your breath. And when you notice that happening, turn towards your breath as though it could tell you why it's stopped. And that movement in and down into feeling the self and asking yourself the question, what do I need? What is that about? Why am I not breathing? And opening to that question and staying with your breath. There's that's not a change in your external circumstances. That's a change in your perception. That's a change in how you orient yourself in your life and how you choose where you put your attention. So we're out of time for our call today, right? So it's been 30 minutes of remembering your breath in and down, feeling the inhale, and on the exhale, see if you can just allow the exhale to happen. And if you find that you need to add effort to your exhale, go ahead and do that, but without squeezing or extending your exhale. Find a steady breath that moves from here at your center and stay with that for the rest of forever. And do your practice, right? Pick one, reach out if you're not sure what to do. Find a practice that is doable. And that's what I'm here to help you do, is find, based on what's happening or not happening, what would be a way that you could find a way to start and get a regular thing going on. Even if it's not every day at the same time, which is something that we are working towards, then every day sometime, right? Why would you not have 10 minutes to breathe? You do. You have it. You just have to find it, and you have to find it through feeling and trying to do it. There's no other way for you to get the feedback that you need to be able to start doing it besides start doing it, right? Okay. And then there's the second part of this challenge, which is let go and keep going. So you're going to make the effort, and then you're going to need as many reminders as you can get to keep doing it. And so that's what this container of support that I've created that and called a challenge is about. It's about reminding you that you wanted to breathe and meditate as a guiding and supportive force in your life, and then reminding you again that you wanted to breathe and meditate and connect to that as a guiding support in your life, and then again reminding you that you wanted to connect with your breath and to meditate and to connect with that as a guiding force in your life. So there are lots of specifics and lots of details and lots of things to inform you about yourself individually, and that's where the next steps come in of our work together. So this month I am offering a bundle with Sanctuary and Foundations program, which is really where we get into lifestyle. So the Sanctuary program is about looking at your lifestyle and working with your lifestyle in a way that is taking 10 days to really hone in on what you do in your daily life and experience a bunch of different Ayurvedic self-care practices, and then know for sure that these are the ones that work for me. These are the ones that help, or these are the ones at least that I can go with for now. And that includes the Foundations program, which is a $400 value that is about creating a personal movement practice. So a 10, 15, 20-minute movement practice every day that is specifically for you and what's going on in your body right now. And if you're in the Foundations program already, reach out and you'll get $200 off, which will of this Sanctuary program, since you're already in Foundations. But I'll put a link to that in the chat, or a link below the replay to sign up for that. So that concludes our breathwork and meditation live call this week. We'll be here again next week to remind you that you wanted to connect with your breath and meditation as a support and a guiding force in your life. And I'll be repeating myself some, as you may have noticed, because there is a need for that in this type of work. Because as soon as you hear the thing that touched you deeply, it's also gone, because the ego is crafty like that. And so we need to hear these things again and again. So, write it down, and then I'll say it again, and we'll keep going like that, because the idea is for you to be able to do this for the long haul, and to get established in something that really works for you, and for you to not need me as soon as possible, but to always also acknowledge at first, maybe you need some guidance. Maybe you don't know what to do. Maybe you're not sure which practices are right for you. Maybe you've already tried a lot of shit that hasn't really helped, because it's hard for us to heal and recognize the patterns of mind with our own mind, right? We need an outside force to intervene and to help us see and recognize our patterns of behavior and movement. So that's where having an actual person seeing you is a vital part of the yoga process. Yoga doesn't happen in isolation. Yoga happens within a community, and with feedback. Feedback is required, and feedback that you can trust. So if you have any questions along the way, it is actually like just me. If you just reply to the emails, it's me, and I'll answer your question, or I'll point you in the right direction, or I'll send you the link to clarify, because maybe it's hard to recognize exactly what the next step is, and because there's a lot of steps, but there is a next right step, and that's what I can point you towards, so that you can really start knowing that the thing that you're dedicating your time to is going to be an impactful and useful use of your time. I just became really self-conscious about how far over time we're going. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you being here. And if you need to go, you can go. And if you'd like to stay and ask questions, I have nowhere else to be besides a walk in them woods after this. So feel free to unmute and say hello, or again, reply to the emails. What I'm trying to say, everybody, is that I want to hear from you. To keep going with this, to keep my mojo, I need to know that you're on the other side, and that there's something happening from all of this talking to my computer screen. Okay? All right. I love you all. I see you. Bye-bye. Any questions? You can pop on.
Hey, Jane.
Hello.
I really love